Today in Bielsa's basement. Why can't Leeds just fucking score?
Yes, disappointing result at home to Derby.
Burley Banksy makes a stunning comeback in full view of the basement.
We look forward to next week's glorious reunion with Lee Bowyer. Hello, and welcome back to the second episode down here in Bielsa's basement. As always, it is the real Bielsa's basement.
It is. But absolutely is. But it isn't. But it is.
For legal purposes, it's not. But it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know why we're so happy, to be honest, after yesterday's disappointing draw against Derby.
Yeah.
It hasn't been a good one, has it?
It's not been great, has it? A great 24 hours. Not even that.
I'm speechless. I don't really know what to say about it. It is what it is. It's the same old story. We press and we press and we press, and we look the top side for the first hour, and then it goes quiet for 20 minutes, and then they just push us and push us, and we concede. Yeah,
absolutely. It's the same template as Forest and Swansea, I think. We're just, that's the most frustrating thing, is I don't see any change from those disappointing results we've had, because I think today was a good chance to really push on and score a mound of goals, and we just didn't again, and that's really quite annoying.
I'm not sure if it's just bad luck that we're not scoring, because we seem to have amazing chances. We hit the post with Bamford. Bamford did a good shot in the first half where it seemed to just miss going in the top right. It sort of seems like it's just Leeds' luck again that we're not taking these chances.
Yeah, I think it's easy to say it's luck, but when you delve into it a bit deeper, it's the core decision making in the final third. So, for example, Bamford had that great one-on-one chance. It was a brilliant ball over by, I think, it might have been Alioski. I can't remember who it was, but it was a great ball over the top, and he brought it down brilliantly. I thought, oh my god, here we go. This is the point where Bamford, he really shows his class, and it was only about 6 yards out, and he tried to dink the keeper, and you absolutely cannot do that. And that's one thing where, I was sitting next to this guy in the East Stand, and we both said pretty much at the same time, just effing drill it. Just get it down and hit it as hard as you can, get your laces through it. But instead he tried to do his lob, and it was really, really poor decision making, because Dallas had another one like that as well, and he could have hit it across the keeper and he hit it straight at him. And then Bamford had another one where he had space on the 18-yard box, should have played in Alioski, had a shot. But, is it still early days? Can we keep saying that?
I mean, it's still close at the top. I think there's 3 points within 8 positions within the top 8, whatever. Mm-hmm. So I reckon it's still early days. I mean, we could lose and someone else could win, and we go 6th. So it is still early days, but we can't keep making the same excuse over and over again. Something's got to change.
Absolutely.
And I was talking to fans outside the game, outside Ellen Road at the end of the game. Everyone seems to have the same decision, that Bamford on his own is not the way forward. Some fans just want him gone completely. I understand that he's not scoring, but he is getting into those positions. Yeah. And then other fans are thinking Eddie and Bamford up front together, which is sort of more where I'm leaning to. But then who do you bring on as a striker?
Well, it's
later?
the same. We touched on that last week, and I think Eddie and Bamford was one where it might have been an option to do at the end of the game, as bring him on as a sub, and maybe bring someone like, well, I'm just putting names out the air here, but maybe someone like Click or Shackleton to come off, and then to play, to go all out for that second goal, because I knew that's what we needed. Everyone in the stadium knew that's what we needed. We needed that second goal, and actually, even though it was gutting, I think the reason why we're not that pissed off is the fact that we knew it was coming. We absolutely knew it was coming, because we've seen it all before. I mean, 3 times this season so far.
On the way to the train station, on the way to the game, you were telling me like you were worried because you weren't worried.
Yeah,
if that makes sense. Like every time that we sort of had it predicted.
It's my fault. I apologise. It's my fault. I need to be absolutely sick to my stomach every time we play, and next week I'm going to make sure I have absolutely no sleep up towards the game, and I can't physically eat or talk during the game, because I'm that worried. And then we will win 6-0. I'm absolutely sure of it.
The first note I made on the game was Leeds on top in the first 10 minutes. It never finishes this way though. And I think that's sort of the first note I made summed up the whole game completely.
Yeah, that's it.
I don't think I made loads of notes here, but I don't think any more were needed. So talk about the goal. From where I was sat in the press gantry.
Yes, you were sat in the press gantry. I was sat by myself for most of the game at the very south side of the East Stand, which wasn't a bad place to be, but I trust that the press gantry was a little better.
Yes, I got quite a good view of the goal, and even I still didn't understand what went on before looking at a replay. So I noted down goal after 90 minutes. Who scored it? Look, you get away with it. And because I was sat with Stats and Ryan from LS11, I think Stats was saying there was an offside somewhere there as well.
Yeah, it looked like because it came over the free. Was it a free kick? No, it wasn't a free kick. The cross came over the top. It was Bamford at the back post. I think was offside. He knocked it back, and then it was hit in by Dallas, and then it all just kind of cannoned around and came off. Was it Max Lowe?
Max Lowe's on goal after being saved by the keeper. It bounced back off him and into the goal.
So it was a bit of luck, but in the end, we did have that domination that we deserved a goal for that.
Yeah, but straight after the goal, before the goal, it seemed to be all Leeds. Again, and Derby seemed to get some sort of motivation from the goal and looked a tiny bit more.
Yeah, they looked a bit more switched on, didn't they?
Yeah. But obviously Leeds came back into it, and there was many chances, countless chances.
Yeah.
One thing I did note down: Ben White. He does the same thing every game, and I love it. His balls.
his what? His what?
His balls over to the left.
Are they? God, think you should see someone about that. Fucking hell.
No,
his passes.
His long.
His passes. Just say his passes.
His long passes over to the left hand side, over to Harrison Alioski, are just first class every time. He plays the same ball every time. It's just amazing. And Harrison, I think is it the same old story for Harrison? It's never like he was awful.
No,
but it's never like he was great. At the same time, it's just he's there.
It's just I think Harrison is a great player, but I think it showed what Bielsa said why he subbed Harrison off for Costa last week was that Harrison isn't good at crossing. He just can't do it. Is in terms of hitting the man every time and getting accurate crosses in. He's not good at it, but what he is good at doing is cutting inside and doing the little touch and goes with Click, with Alioski, with Bamford. Because he does look a lot better, but he's just a different kind of player. And Bielsa wants players who can cross, and Costa is a better crosser. So, for me, I think, and I said this last week, it's time to start Costa because he's that type of player who can get into a good position by himself. And then once he's done that, he can get his head up and deliver a pinpoint cross. And I think, I'd like to still give Bamford a chance. But obviously, goals talk in this league.
Yeah. So that's what I was going to move on to. Do you think, if you're Bielsa, where do you go from here?
I think it sums it up perfectly. I saw a tweet, I can't remember who it was by, I think it was Leeds Live or LUFC Data, one of the two, where it ranked his off the ball play as 9 out of 10, but his finishing is 2 out of 10. And that's why we're all so split about this, because he looks like now he's part of the team, but he has to start finishing chances. And I think unless either Nketiah starts more often, because he is that clinical striker that we are absolutely begging for now. We're going to be ruining the sale of Roof all season, because he was that player where he was a part of the system and he was also a very clinical finisher as well. So I'm thinking I'll start Bamford. If I'm Bielsa, I'm thinking I'll start Bamford next week, but I will start Costa, because Costa and Hernandez supplying the crosses to Bamford, I think will be really, really good for us. And I think that might be then the system that we find, and then bring Harrison on as kind of a player who every time he gets the ball he'll go and run at the defence and try and cut inside and do something different. So yeah, that's probably where I am at the moment, which, well, to be fair, it's the same as I said last week, but surely now, after that dreadful wing performance from Harrison.
Yeah, I'm going to change what I said last week about keeping the team the same and using the secret weapons. I think...
Right. Interesting.
Yeah, I was wrong. Okay, I'll admit I was wrong. It just doesn't seem to work what we've got at the moment. It's the same story every single time. And we've talked about it enough. It's just everyone knows we cannot score.
Yeah.
Again, I think it's sort of Bamford's trying to prove himself, because it seems now that, like, yeah, he's a team player. There was one bit where he was running through the centre of midfield sort of, and almost taking Calvin Phillips' role at one point in the first half, which was great to see. And then he was a great player, passed it over the left wing. I don't think anything came of it in the end, but it was just a nice bit of play.
Yeah.
But when he gets into that goal position, he is very selfish. I think it's sort of him trying to prove himself to the fans.
Mm-hmm.
There's lots of times where Harrison was through. He could have passed it to Harrison. It would have been a great ball.
Yeah.
But instead he had a shot, and it was. It's like he's trying to prove himself too much. But again, it was that thing that we wouldn't have won the penalty if Bamford had passed it.
Yeah.
But then the penalty.
Moving on to that. Yeah. I mean, I was barely even watching. I just can't believe it, because I've got written down here that my 3 standout performers were Stuart Dallas again, Calvin Phillips as always, and Click as well.
Yeah, like
and
same
Click,
as you.
apart from that moment, was really good. He was making really good runs. His passing was on point. He looked well up for it, and I think it's one of those where he's concentrating too much on trying to send the goalkeeper the wrong way, which he does every time. Because I've seen him now take 3 penalties for Leeds. He did it once against Burnley in the Cup a few years ago. He did it obviously against Barnsley last week. And every time he sends the keeper to his right and he rolls it to their left. But in doing that, he forgets to fucking put it in the net. It's just so frustrating, because it's like, it's such a skill to do that, and it shows like you've got to be a really, really good footballer. And obviously Click is, but he's not like a world class.
Yeah.
The world class footballers can do that and put it in the back of the net. So that's really worrying, because now I don't think we have a penalty taker, because we've cycled through Hernandez, who was our penalty taker and a good one, but then he missed a few, and then he had a few saved, and then Bamford had a couple saved last season as well. It's now it's Click, and he scores 1, and then the next time he does that, and it's like, who do we go to next?
I think.
I mean, obviously, we're not relying on penalties to get promoted, but
yeah.
When you're in that position, when you're 1-0 up, and you need a second goal, and you're not getting it, and you get a chance like that, you absolutely 100% have to score that. There is absolutely no excuse for that.
And I think that was sort of the turning point of the game for me. It sort of looks
well,
like...
because it was saved. No, not saved. Sorry, it rolled shittily wide. And then they got the ball and they started playing football, and they went right down the other end on a really slick attack and won a couple of corners. And then after that happened, I was like, oh god, here we go. And then it settled down a bit again, and it looked like we were going to go forward and get another one. And then
from just 70th, the spell from like the 70th to 80th minute was fairly quiet, I think.
It was, not much happened.
And I had to leave to do some bits for LS11 10 minutes before the end, so I didn't see Nketiah how he played or the goal. I went outside expecting to see like fans delighted, not delighted but like happy.
Yeah.
At least. Obviously, it was a different story when I heard the Derby fans celebrating from inside the ground. I don't think there's much more to it, to be honest.
No, I think it's one of those where we'll move on. We'll go to Charlton next week. It is still early days.
We're still top as well.
We're still top. We've only played 8 games. There's 38 games to play. Don't judge us after 8. Judge us after 28 maybe, and see where we're at then. So we might have sorted it out. And it was Alioski's 100th appearance as well.
Yeah.
So I thought he was okay. He didn't do anything particular. Actually, one thing I did clock was when I mentioned before about Bamford hitting it from outside the 18-yard box and missing, when he should have played in Alioski, who'd made an absolutely lung-busting run. He just sort of dropped to his knees and just sort of like curled up in a ball on the floor like a child, and sort of jogged off slowly in a little bit of a sulk in sort of essential Alioski style. But apart from that, it was a pretty dull performance from him. But it's been a wild ride to have him with Leeds ever since he got signed. So that was a nice touch for yesterday, amidst all the dullness.
It's been a busy week away from Ellen Road this week, hasn't it? What's been going on?
Indeed. Well, first of all, I think we must talk about a little-known player called Erling Haaland. Now, Erling Haaland is the son of a former player of ours, the much-adored Alf-Inge Haaland, who played for us in the 90s/early 2000s. But I haven't actually fact-checked that, but I know that was the kind of area we were going for. So, born in Leeds, Erling has declared his allegiance to Norway and was signed in this summer just gone by Red Bull Salzburg, and he has pretty much hit the ground running. So this guy has 17 goals in 9 games.
How?
I don't know.
How is that possible?
I'm not entirely sure. But one thing he did this week, the reason why it's of particular importance now, is that he scored a hat-trick on his Champions League debut against Genk at home for Salzburg.
Was this the guy who came up in the Leeds Academy but was deemed not good enough?
Well, actually, it's not quite as embarrassing as that. He didn't actually get into the Leeds Academy, but he was scouted by us in 2015 and deemed not even good enough for our academy. So actually, it's more embarrassing. He was subsequently picked up by Molde, I think, in the Norwegian Premier League. And then he was sold this year. Maybe it was in summer. Actually, it might have been in January. Anyway, but he has declared himself as a huge Leeds fan, and his dream as a football player is to win the Premier League with Leeds United. So, it's written in the stars.
Someone who can score... How many goals is it?
17 in
17
9.
goals in 9 games.
Yeah, so by now he would have scored probably 15, 16 for us. It would be, yeah.
Isn't that exactly what we were looking for?
It is exactly what we're looking for.
Can you fucking believe it?
I can. I can. It's very Leeds. It's very Leeds.
This whole week has been incredibly Leeds.
Yeah. So, anyway, obviously this guy is pretty handy. He looks alright. Top target next summer, maybe.
If he carries on the way he is, I mean, how old is he?
20. 19 even.
19.
In fact, he's younger than me. And you. Well, you're younger than me, but yes, he is younger than you as well, actually.
Makes you wonder what we're doing with our lives. Sat in Bielsa's basement.
A lot.
What else have we seen this week then? Bielsa in Morrison supplying the house.
Yeah, supplying the basement. Yeah, getting the soups in. I think is where he was. Was it baked beans or soup?
Something like that. We'll go up in the fridge and have a look later. See what he's got us in.
Yeah, I haven't seen him in a while actually. He's been busy this week.
Yeah, you keep hearing like footsteps upstairs and stuff. You think he's rummaging about and he's.
That's very strange.
Yeah.
But at least we know he's got the soup in though. for the boys.
Suit for the
Suit for the boys. That was very strange. But also, actually, there's probably a deeper meaning here.
We're looking into it too much.
We're reading into it. He is just such a humble guy, isn't he?
I mean, cutie.
He is a little cutie.
Proper granddad, isn't he?
He is a proper granddad. He's the granddad of the basement, you might say.
You can say that, yeah. Is that him now?
Oh.
Sounds like it. Bielsa above our heads.
The Kraken awakes. Yeah. So, like, bearing in mind how much we're paying this guy, which is a reported £2 million a year.
Right.
And he's in Morrison's buying the Super Savers suit.
In his tracksuit still.
In his tracksuit, probably driven his VW Golf to Morrison's. It's just beyond belief, just like how normal this guy is when he is absolutely idolised by everyone in the surrounding area.
Maybe it's because he's still trying to pay off his £200,000 fine that he decided to pay.
Maybe it is.
Speaking of fines,
yes. Speaking of,
£42,500 fine for a Birmingham fan who assaulted Grealish. How?
How about not a fine for the fan.
Not a fine for the club.
A fine for the club. A fine for the club for assaulting a player. For committing an actual crime.
How are we getting? It's the same thing all over again. Oh, a public pavement. You know what I mean? £200,000 fine. How is that worse?
I don't understand. And yeah, like they have actually broken a rule, but we didn't. We didn't break any fucking rules. According to them, we broke the club charter, but that doesn't warrant that fine. Like, this is the kind of fine where it's like, this is the corresponding amount that fits that crime. Mm-hmm. This is what you did, this is what you pay. They just pulled it out their backside, 200 grand, and we didn't even do anything. Well. And also, another thing that happened this weekend that even makes me more mad, Derby getting off absolutely scot-free for selling their £40 million stadium back to themselves for £80 million
to get away from
financial fair play to afford Wayne Rooney.
Oh, I forgot about Wayne.
I cannot believe it. Like, it just seems so obvious that, like, how can you possibly justify that? Like, how can an independent board find that that's fine, but not find that standing on a public footpath, not breaking any specific rules, is worth £200,000, which, by the way, is quite a substantial amount as fines go. Mm-hmm. Like, you see Millwall getting fined like £10,000 for racism. Like, that is shocking, and like it's a sign of this like systemic problem we're never going to sort out, when you can do something that's totally like legal and maybe a bit immoral and get fined 200 grand, but do something that's like awful and is killing the game and is actually illegal as well and get fined 10,000. It defies belief, and it honestly, it does make me quite angry, because it's just like, where do we go from here? How can this, the EFL as an establishment, how can they carry on with this on their conscience?
Do you think the EFL have actually got an anti-Leeds sort of feeling? Or is it just the way things have happened? It seems very anti-Leeds, but it's. Do you think it's just because it kicked, like the press kicked up a fuss with the Spygate thing, and not much is being said about anything else? So it was so they sort of had to like, look, we have to do something about this. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I think it's one where I didn't used to think that they did have an anti-Leeds agenda, because I thought, it's just kind of like we've been unlucky. But actually, the way they've behaved in the last 12 months. It does make me think there might be. And I don't blame them, because we are a cash cow for the EFL. The amount of TV money they get from Leeds United is absolutely insane, and then the pittance they have to pay out to us for being on telly, £1.5 million a season for being on telly like 35-40 times out of a season, compared to the Premier League teams getting almost £100 million for half that amount. It's ridiculous, and it's just
Speaking of anti-Leeds agendas, Leeds residents against graffiti.
Yeah,
covering up
worse than the EFL.
Covering up Burley Banksy's work.
Wankers.
I mean, it's always been something that you see around the city. Living in Leeds, go to Welland Road for games and stuff.
Brilliant.
It's part of the. It was part of the experience, and now obviously this anti-Leeds graffiti group.
Well, if they are a group, because apparently there's only been one guy just going around saying he's against it.
I mean, how much time do you have free? Think of everything you would do with that time.
Get a fucking job. Get a real job.
And
it is terrible though. Like, this guy gets no money for it. He spends his own money on all the supplies, and he spends his own time doing it. And some of them must take a long time to do it.
Well, it's artwork, isn't it? It's not like he's got
It's not as if it's like illegal.
He's got permission from
Virgin Media.
Yeah, and the council support it, and the club support it, and it's actual artwork that takes time.
Yeah.
In later news though, because of all of this, yesterday managed to meet Bielsa, managed to meet the players. He took his kids along to see them as well.
That's brilliant.
Really good. Yeah. And he's made a surprise re-emergence on an electric box.
Yeah.
Within view
of
Bielsa's basement.
Yeah. Which is brilliant.
You actually saw him, didn't you?
I did. I saw him. He pulled outside in his blue van with his scarves in the window, and he came out with his brush and paints, and he was I saw him. I was starstruck actually. I was like, I felt like I was seeing a real celebrity. This guy is, and I just thought, it's a real privilege. Almost, that's how I feel, that it's like a privilege that he's chosen this location near us to paint this brilliant piece of art that really encapsulates the city of Leeds. And it's great sporting culture. It's absolute top bloke.
Well, we need to be on neighbourhood watch lookout now for Leeds residents against graffiti. So if we see anyone,
we'll let Marcelo loose.
We'll take. On Saturday, we face Charlton away. The glorious reunion with Lee Bowyer.
Yeah, that'll be nice. That'll be nice to see him again.
All right, Lee, how you doing, mate?
How you doing, mate? Just chip us a couple of goals early on, will you? Just to settle the nerves.
So, Charlton were originally playing quite well. They went on this wave of a couple of wins. I think it was maybe 2 wins, 2 draws.
Well, they beat Fulham on opening day. That was pretty impressive.
Yeah, and then...
Oh, no, they didn't. That was Barnsley. They beat someone on opening day.
They beat, I think it was 2 wins, a loss against Forest Green in the Cup.
Yeah.
2 draws, and then it's been 2 losses. Is that right?
That's right.
2 losses since.
That's right, yeah. Birmingham and Wigan as well. Not the greatest of teams. But, as you said, they're riding a bit of a wave, as most promoted League One teams do, and then they fall away soon enough, and it looks like they are doing so. I will expect that we'll see a similar performance to Barnsley, probably where they'll try and come out and play us, and we'll get the space to play. And we might see another laboured performance, but I think we should have enough to win.
It's an away game as well.
It is.
How many away games have we won? Is it
all of them?
All of them.
6 in a row.
Six away games in a row. So however, the previous results against Charlton do not suggest that it's going to be a Leeds win. I think it was it 3 Charlton wins?
Yes.
2 draws and 1 Leeds win in the past 6.
That's correct. Yeah. And I think the last time we played them, it was on the last day of the season. They'd already been relegated, and I think we lost at Ellen Road 2-1, which was a pretty awful day.
Sounds like Leeds.
It does sound very Leeds. However, I am confident now that we have the players to beat them away from home.
We have a good team. We have a good team. We've got a good set of players. We've got.
Yeah, come on.
We've got. I can't keep going on about this anymore. It's stressing me out. I don't see.
I've actually got written down Charlton will score. I don't actually remember writing that down.
I do, because it was the Who Scored we were looking.
Oh, yeah.
And one of Who Scored's predictions almost like the World Cup octopus.
Yeah,
in a way.
Paul the Octopus-esque.
Yes, they said Charlton will score because of individual skill.
Really?
That's Charlton's
Who do they have?
Obviously people with
They've got
individual skill.
Lyle Taylor. I know he's meant to be okay. And they've... Yeah, I don't actually know who else they've got. Some other players. Yeah, no, they look like a decent team, and but, you know, we can't be happy with anything else other than a win.
Yeah,
in every game now, because we're miles better than any other fuckers in this league. Absolutely, 100%.
Results wouldn't suggest that, but we are.
No, but we are. We just are.
We see it.
Yeah. Well, no, genuinely, in terms of style of play, when I watch other championship teams, the way, you know, the movement and the passing, I know we're levels above them, but, you know, we just have a problem with teams who sit back and, you know, not scoring, but, you know, I just think it's, we'll have enough to beat Charlton.
Score predictions?
I'm going to say 3-1. I think I agree with whoscored.com. I think they will score. And I think they will either go 1-0 up or we'll score and they'll equalise, and then we'll kick on and get the other goals. Bamford to score twice.
Right. I'm gonna. What I think I said. What did I say for the prediction for this game last week? Did I say a loss?
Against Derby?
Yeah. I cannot remember. But I'm gonna say a loss this week. So hopefully.
I know I said 5-0 win. So don't listen to anything I say.
So maybe if I say 2-1 loss.
2-1 loss.
2-1 loss. I'm not feeling good at all.
Christ. Okay. Well. I mean, it all depends on how I feel on the day of the game, because that's what it rests on. That's the key ingredient.
And you were telling me earlier, if you actually go to the games now, we lose.
Yeah, so I've got a montage of the tickets that I've got from the games that I've been to in the last year. And out of the 11 that I've been to at Elland Road, the first 6, we won them all. It was an absolute hot streak. And then haven't won in the last 5. Villa, Derby, Forest, Swansea, and Derby again.
Incredible.
And that just shows it's all my fault. So
So you won't be attending the game.
I won't be attending the game.
You won't sleep.
No.
And we'll win.
3-1.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm still going to say a loss, but we'll go off of what you're saying. Anyway, we'll find out what happens in the next episode of Bielsa's Basement. I've been Connor Thornbury. This is Alfie, Geordie White. And thank you for listening. As always, if you've got any suggestions for new features in the podcast, any feedback, we'll be happy to hear it. Just don't give us any bad Yelp reviews.
Yeah, at least not publicly.
No, we just hope you enjoyed your stay in the basement. If you didn't, give us a bell.
Yeah, get out.
Thank you very much for listening. See you later.
Try.